Good freaking morning, my friends. Welcome back to the channel. Today we have two goals. Goal number one is to figure out how to get this rear window on my all-wheel drive Type R tinted. If you guys watched yesterday's video, you probably saw that I'm trying to learn how to tint myself. I love to just know how to do everything on cars. I know how to vinyl wrap, I know how to build motors, I can do paint and body work and all that jazz. There's still a lot of stuff I'm not very good at, like wiring, electronics. Of course, window tinting I am terrible at, but it'd be nice to just do entire builds from the ground up and have no other hands on the car. That's my goal. So that's thing number one. Number one, figure out how to get this rear window tinted on the Type R. Number two, hopefully our steering rack for the Evo 8 comes in. I called them yesterday, the place that's rebuilding it, and I hate freaking doing this. I hate bugging people, but it had to be done. I called him and he was like, it'll be done by the end of the week. Yesterday was Monday, so today's Tuesday, and I said, I'll pay whatever expedited fee you need to get it done tomorrow. And he said, all right, I'll get her done. So the steering rack for the Evo 8 should be done. It's the OEM one that we're getting rebuilt. And yeah, that should be the last of those problems, provided they did a good rebuild on it, which I don't know why they wouldn't. It's a reputable shop. They do a lot of good work for me over the years, so I'm confident they're doing good work on the rack as well. Decided to drive the E92 M3 today. We finally have enough space in the bigger warehouse to store this car. It's been sitting outside for a while, but as I slowly but surely get rid of more and more cars or less cars have to sit outside. The goal is to have no cars sitting outside, which of course will be very nice. This car is way too freaking beautiful, way too nice, and a little bit too expensive in my opinion to just have sitting outside. And if you're wondering why I have a stock wheel on here, and what are the other wheels? Vorsteiners on all the other sides. Remember, I popped a tire on this one. I've been waiting on that freaking Toyo tire. It's a Toyo Proxy. What is this thing, man? In case anyone of you know where to find one, it's a Toyo Proxy 295/3019. Proxy Sport is what it's called. I ordered one when I popped it months ago, and it's still on back order. Cannot freaking find one, so if you can find one, that'd be great. But let's head to the shop, and first things first, get this rear window tinted. Man, I miss driving this car. It just feels weird driving it with pretty much a spare tire on it right now. Whoa, so you know it's been sitting for a while. Freaking brakes are rusted, seized up. So this here is our second attempt at tinting the rear window. This was from last night. We have a few creases and I ended up burning the film as well. So this is no good. Let's try again. Just a little heads up, if you guys are gonna try tinting yourself, I would highly recommend not starting with really expensive film. I'm using carbon, I think it's carbon ceramic or carbon Lumar IRX film. It's pretty dang expensive, and as you can see, I'm going through a lot of film just because I don't know what I'm doing. So I would start off with something cheaper. You don't need to start with like the carbon highest end film. Practice with something cheap, because I'm spending and wasting hundreds of dollars of film as I mess everything up, which I thought I was going to be better at it if I'm being honest, but it's hard. It's really freaking hard. So props to all the tinters out there, because this is way more difficult than I can imagine. So right now it's just baby soap diluted that you rub around with a dryer sheet, and this supposedly helps you shrink it easier. So we're gonna let this dry and then go ahead and apply the film. So I have the tint laid out, somewhat trimmed to the size of the rear window. Now the hardest part, I kept messing it up yesterday. Let's hope that a good night's of rest will allow me to get this shrunk to the window. By far the hardest part of tinting so far. Attempt number 3, completely effed up this tent. Wrinkles everywhere, burned the shit out of it. I hate this. This is absolutely BS. How do people do this? This is a scam. I've been bamboozled, for sure. I know it looks very scratched up. This is just a protective film that's on the outside. It gets taken off anyway, so don't mind the scratches, but mind the creases. There's like 1,000 creases in this stupid tent, and I'm out of tint for the rear window. I wanted the rear to be 5. This is so stupid. This here was my very, very last piece of film. I got it so freaking close. I have been trying to shrink this up down here for literally over an hour on both sides. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Put so much heat on it, I ended up burning the edge of the vinyl. So that's a wrap. I'm gonna go ahead and just practice putting this on the inside. I know it's not gonna look good. At least I'm predicting it's not gonna look good. But let's go ahead and clean the inside of the window, peel off that protective layer, put this on the inside, and at least kind of try and get that process dialed in. Holy crap, guys. Freaking shrinking tint, man. It's difficult. I thought I would be somewhat decent at it because I've vinyl wrapped a ton of cars. Completely different ball game than wrap. It's difficult, to say the least. So close to absolute perfection. Just right down in here where we couldn't get it shrunk because I don't know what I'm doing. It's not good. Everywhere else, it's perfect, 100% perfect. Now, if the little rear window, the little lower spoiler covered it, I wouldn't care. I would just run it as is, but unfortunately, that spoiler runs right here, and you can see all that underneath. So, I still got some work to do. I'm happy that I know how to do everything else. If we can just get the shrinking down, we'll be good to go. Unfortunately, I am out of tint. Completely out of tint. $400 I think I spent on tint, and I'm out. Yeah, I suck. Alright guys, I just got word that the power steering rack is rebuilt. This is the OEM rack that I tried to rebuild twice. Apparently I don't know what I'm doing with power steering racks. Leaked both times. Second time leaked way worse than it did the first time. So I decided to have a local shop called Pete's Garage rebuild the rack. So I found the rebuild kit. I know it's the right kit, and dropped everything off. And they got it done in about a week. So I'm gonna go pick that up real quick, slap it in the car, and this should be the end. provided Pete's Garage knows what they're doing, which I'm sure they do. I think they do this on a regular basis. This should be the end of the power steering rack leakage saga of the Evo 8. And then we can finally enjoy the freaking car. It's the last big issue. There's really no other issues. I need a wet sand and polish like the fender maybe, but it's little stuff. This should be the last of the issues, man. It's so crazy. I've had the steering rack out like 40 freaking times at this point. So let's hope that we're good to go. Yay. The Holy Grail. This thing right here, man, freaking pain. Let's head to the shop. He was like, yeah, someone's definitely been in here before. I didn't have the nerve to tell him it was me. Twice. So the eBay rack is currently in the car, which, as you guys know, did not work whatsoever. Did not fit, did not clear, incorrect ratio. So we got to pull that rack out. And if you're wondering on the price, $449, and I supplied all the parts. So it wasn't terrible. I think you said the shop rate is 150 bucks an hour, so took what, 3 hours? Not bad. So for the final time, let's go ahead and get this rack reassembled. We got to put the boots on with the tie rods, inner and outer tie rods, get it on the subframe, put that thing back in the car, and finally freaking be done. I'm sure you guys are probably not as sick as dealing with this as I am, because I'm very, very sick of it. But I'm sure you're a little bit sick of watching me pull this thing out seemingly every freaking day. So here are the tie rods with boots. There are two different boots. The longer one goes on the passenger side, shorter boot goes on the driver's side. On the passenger side, I have the boot off now. It's coming just straight out of the inside of the rack. Well guys, car's all back together, and as you can see here, she leaks goodly. I know goodly's probably not a word, but this thing works. This thing leaks worse than it did when I rebuilt it. That's just straight up a gallon of fluid in 10 seconds of running. This is so freaking frustrating. And in the meantime, I'm gonna try and get this rear window tinted on the Type R. Now, I'm not gonna do it myself. I'm having a professional come over and teach me and teach you guys how to get this rear window shrunk. According to him, it's pretty difficult, and if a professional says it's difficult, it must be difficult. So in the meantime, I'm at Remy's shop to steal some of his window film, because I ran out. Everyone go comment on Remy's YouTube and tell him to fix his oil leak. That's more of a oil puddle, not a leak. That's like an oil ocean.
I'll kind of show you a few things that have helped me in the past. First thing you're gonna notice, you see this flat spot right here? Mm-hmm. That's where you want your center line to be. So the reason for that, right, that's where the film wants to relax. Mm-hmm. All of our fingers are up here, so that's what we need to shrink. Okay. The film only shrinks one way. I like to start with the hardest parts first. So one of the biggest things is you want to look at this kind of, I've got this down, you want to work it evenly. So now we're going to start walking this way. You always want to try and attack your highest points first.
Rear glass is finally done, fully tinted out. I learned a ton of little tricks and whatnot that I should be able to apply to all the other cars when it's time to tint. Look at how freaking beautiful this back glass turned out. Everything on the car is tinted. All the sides, the back, everything but the front. I am getting this windshield replaced, but I think I'm gonna go ahead and tint the windshield before it goes in the car. So I got a new one on the way right now. I'm gonna get it tinted and then have a mobile installer come out, put it in the car, and we will have a fully tinted Type R. Well, friends, that is gonna be a wrap on the day. I am done, 100% done dealing with this car until I can just find a good replacement rack. Apparently this rack does not want to be fixed whatsoever. 3 rebuilds this rack has been through. Does not want to be fixed. So as soon as I find a new one, we'll get this car back on the road. Until then, goodbye.